It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Monday, September 22nd, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that is really, really missing Bernie Parent right about now.
Yeah, it's a sad day.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade, and I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. To keep up with our latest episodes of Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And of course, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We are going to get a little bit into that preseason marathon 11-round shootout game against the New York Islanders and goings on at camp and the scrimmage and our nemesis of the week. But we have to, of course, start with the really sad news about Bernie Parent's passing at the age of 80. Just like a legend on and off the ice. Like you could not come up with a nicer, more gracious, more generous, more kind Flyers alum around than Bernie Parent.
Yeah, just a great guy. I mean, I watched him play. I mean, he's one of the greatest goalies I'd ever seen play. It's a shame that him, Ken Dryden, Ed Jockman, they all
Oh
passed
man,
in a span of
it's been
2
a rough
weeks.
time.
And I watched them all growing up, and it just kind of hit me, So, yeah, it stinks. Condolences go out to his family, but he really was a super nice guy. I had more than a few dealings with him. They were all very, very positive.
That you would never hear one negative word about the man.
No,
Just always a smile on his face. And obviously on the ice, 2 Stanley Cups, the Vezinas, the Conn Smythe, Hockey Hall of Fame, jersey retired. Like he just was pure class in all aspects of his life. And I have not a specific memory with him directly, but I was actually on an airplane flying into Philadelphia during that outdoor alumni game that he
yeah,
was playing in. And as the plane was landing, I could see his face on the Jumbotron
that's cool. Yeah.
outside. And it was just like, oh, that moment for him to be on the ice again
Well,
was pretty special.
truth be known, I was in both locker rooms, and Ron Duguay made a shot, and he shot it so Bernie could save it, and he
Yeah.
wanted Bernie to be able to make a big
Yeah.
save in front of the crowd. And listen, the Rangers and Flyers have always had a history, but Ron Duguay had a lot of great things to say about Bernie and was
Yeah.
happy to play a part in that. And I remember Bernie making the save, and I remember him coming out of the net shortly after because he had I think a hip replacement. So
Yep.
it was just gutsy being in there so he could do that one more time. So it was just great.
Yeah, it was. But again, like Russ said, condolences to his family and his friends, and of course, the entire Flyers organization. Turning our attention to training camp and the Islanders preseason game. Of course, the Islanders did actually have a lovely tribute to Bernie Parent pregame, and it was pretty extended too. Like
That's good.
just really above and
They had a
beyond.
lot. I mean, the Islanders, when they broke in, Bernie was playing, so they had to face him.
Of course, as far as the Flyers and camp and the roster for the game against the Islanders, Carson DeWart and Oliver Bonk not available because they're both day to day. Tyson Forster is in a non-contact still, so he's not going to play for a little bit. But 11-round shootout, Russ. It was kind of funny just because the Islanders goaltender, of course, was Parker Gahagan, our longtime favorite Phantoms
Yeah.
goaltender. So a lot of former teammates shooting on him,
Yep.
which, of course, I think led to some of the Flyers' goals in that shootout for sure. But Rodrigo Abels with the game in regulation as well as a shootout goal there.
Yeah.
I thought
We
he had
talked about it. Like he's
Mhm.
gonna have a chance at that 4C spot. I know people probably don't think about him, but he does play a game that can translate at the NHL level if he could show consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Matvei Michkov was firing on all cylinders. I thought he was
Yeah.
just everywhere, but he was also like trying really hard to create some moments in chemistry with his line mates and
Mhm.
kind of run things out there. Getting that game tying goal late was
Yeah.
some excellent work there. As well, and scoring in the shootout as well, of course. And I think that he was definitely a standout in the game. I would say also Emil Andrae. You could tell he's playing with an edge because he knows like this how important this camp
Yeah,
is
he's
for him.
fighting for a job. Like we talked about it. I mean, again, it's something that I think maybe some fans don't want to think about, but Emil Andrae is very good on the power play. He's very good. He has a point
Yeah,
shot that's very good. And yeah, I know the Flyers power play went like 0 for 4, but as far as like what he can do as far as hitting the net and such, he's one of their best guys for that. So and shootout, yeah, he's got moves. So it
yeah,
doesn't
I
surprise.
know. Yeah, so I thought he was definitely a standout. Nesbitt, who we're going to talk about a little bit more when it came to the scrimmage as well. I thought again, just a real solid all around game. I
Mhm.
thought his line had some really good moments out there as well, and I think it's really interesting what he's trying to do out there because it's very obvious that he's going to go back
Right.
and and not crack this lineup, but I think he's showing the potential of what he
Yeah,
can do,
sure,
and
and that's
it stood out in a game situation
right, and that's good.
especially.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. But you sat near Aleksei Kolosov, so like,
I
you know,
did.
so how did he look?
Well, yeah, so the goaltending, I would say Kolosov was slightly less frenetic than maybe he was last year,
Okay,
for the most part. I think on average, let's say, because
okay,
Kolosov had his good moments last year too. But
right,
I would say overall, he was slightly less frenetic than he was last year in general, but still not really confident, and especially with the rebound control.
okay,
He like there was one of the Islanders goals was like directly off a rebound bouncing off of him, right? And so I think that he just really needs a lot more confidence with that. And it leads to him panicking and doing panic side to side moves.
right.
And I think Carson Bjarnason was so different in contrast and in that third period and then in the overtime and the shootout. Like Bjarnason was dialed, I would
That's
say.
good.
I think that,
Except maybe on the Luca Romano move, but he's got some great moves.
right. I mean,
That was tremendous. I
on a
saw that.
shootout,
Yeah,
yeah, on a
yeah.
shootout, like I'm gonna forgive that a
Oh,
lot.
absolutely. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Of
in the
course.
run of gameplay, he had some really excellent saves, and I thought
That's good.
his puck tracking was spot on. Like even when he wasn't in the exact best position, like
Hmm.
he knew what was happening, and
Right.
so
That's good.
yeah, I was really, really impressed with what Carson Bjarnason had to do. And, I think that's the best we can ask for with the
Yeah.
Flyers backup or the
Right.
depth
They're both back.
goaltending, right?
Yeah, they're both backups. I mean, essentially.
Yeah.
They're both Phantoms goalies, both NHL backups at this point
Hmm.
in emergency. So yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, and I will say Denver Barkey, who we'll talk about in the scrimmage, who maybe didn't
Hmm.
stand out in the scrimmage or had some lower moments in the scrimmage, but he was on it in this game. I think he really was trying to put together a more complete game. I thought he had some really excellent offensive moments. I mean, he did a dangle move that didn't quite work out in the end. Matthew Schaefer was there, unfortunately,
Hmm.
defensively, but who he looked really good, by the way, for the most
Yeah, I
part.
saw some video he did. Yeah, he's gonna be good. What about Nikita Gorbenkin? I saw there were some pluses and minuses for him
Yeah.
as usual.
Yeah, I would say his usual pluses and minuses, right? Really strong when he has a lot of space to work with,
Right.
right? And then when he gets in the zone and things are in tight, I think that he just struggles a little bit and has
Yeah.
like panics a little
Yeah.
bit and
And
gets rid of the
I saw he
puck.
had at least one turnover in the stat sheet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Now he did have a couple really good passes. I noticed
Mhm.
one then he from behind the net out toward Michkov. That was really good. So, I think he's got to pick his moments a little bit better and not panic as much. But the potential is absolutely there. Like I know what people are talking about when they say they like
Yeah.
his game. So
But this is why I
yeah.
don't think I would have him at the NHL level, because remember, these are not like NHL games yet. And if he's
Mhm.
gonna have those panic moments, let him have them in the AHL and overcome them. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say in the overtime, the group of three that was most interesting to me was Nesbitt, Barkey, and Andrae. I think because of where they are in the system,
Yeah, they all
had
have
the
like
most incentive, right?
right, right. They really had something to prove.
Yeah, they did.
That's good.
I think Trevor Zegras was warming up. I think again, he had some really good moments, but some
Mhm.
not so great moments. I think Noah Cates was tired. He was just skating kind of gassed the whole
No, I don't know
time.
who's going up against Bo Horvat. I saw at one point he was 70% on
Yeah.
face-offs.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a whole other thing.
Okay.
But
I mean, Horvat's not easy to match up against. I'm not acting like it
no,
is.
no, that is absolutely the case. But I think as first playoff or preseason games go, it went, as
Right.
they say.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to build on that, especially with some of the younger guys. And I want to see some consistency moving forward. And I think we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think they'll probably make more. They might make one or two more cuts before Tuesday. I think someone like
Yeah,
Spencer Gill might get sent back just so
right.
he got some experience. I don't know. I think there'll be
Talkett
some more
seems to be
cuts.
keen on getting the regulars
Right,
and narrowing things down so he
and
can
that's what
be
you
more
have to do.
specific. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. But heck of a way to start the preseason. In the meantime, there's a lot more going on. We're going to dig into some of the takeaways from the scrimmage that took place on Saturday coming up next. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, it can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all in one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending. You'll finally feel in control of your money, and it helps you notice inefficient investment allocations, and you can discover forgotten 401ks from those past jobs. You'll save even more money. You can then turn around and reinvest all of that and earn more. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, on tomorrow's show, we're obviously going to have more from Flyers training camp. Plus, we're going to dig a little bit into Russ's prospect report from the first big tournament of the season, which you attended, and excited to get into that. Never too early to start scouting those kids for
No,
next year's draft, right?
I'll give you. Yeah, the quick fun part is Austin Moline basically left Flyers camp and started a game the next day here in Pittsburgh. So good for
Love
him.
that. Yeah, very good for him. Plus, on Wednesday, we're going to answer your mailbag questions. So get those in. You can email us at lockdownflyers@gmail.com, send us a message on any of our socials, or comment on our YouTube channel. So, digging into some of what we saw at training camp on Saturday with the scrimmage, I think it was really interesting because obviously it's different than the preseason game that we just saw because it's everybody and not just the
Right.
game group. And so
Right.
you get like a clearer picture of what at least the initial thoughts are about lines and strategies and all of that. And I think, Rick Tocchet has said that Danny Briere and Keith Jones had definitely had a big hand in the lines that were being put together, at least to start off with. And
Right.
he's saying this is a starting off point. I reserve the right to make any changes as coach, obviously. But as he gets to know these players, they did some special teams drills right before the scrimmage, which I think was really good to see that they did that. And B, that he was willing to put it out there in a very public forum of a very heavily marketed, family fan event, bring everybody, very well attended. First thing that the fans see on the ice is a power play drill. I found that to be really bold and honestly a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's trying to exercise the demons and at least show that they're going to put more work on it than maybe the team did last year. I think that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing, and it's a necessary thing. And the units were, I think, pretty close to what we had talked about. Not exactly, and it's definitely on the defenseman side of things where things were different here. But the first unit that went out there was led by Jamie Drysdale, and that had Zegras, Michkov, Couturier, and Konechny on that one. And the second unit was Travis Sanheim with Bobby Brink, Noah Cates, Owen Tippett, and Tyson Forster in a non-contact jerseys, as we said earlier. So really interesting units, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect Couturier to stay on the top power play the whole year because we talked about his power play inefficiency, actually. So we'll see if he all of a sudden magically gets it back. Owen Tippett on the second power play is telling. For as much as they've marketed him and they're paying him, the fact that he's on the second power play, it's not great for him.
No, but I do think that he has some chemistry with those guys. And especially, again, keeping Brink, Cates, and Forster together. And we've seen Owen Tippett kind of mix in with those guys on occasion. I think it's probably for a consistency thing at first. But again, I can't really argue with that first unit either, other than the Couturier issue that we mentioned.
Yeah.
But just really interesting, I thought.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is I think you're right. But if they're going to be on the ice for like 21 seconds at the end of a power play, it's hard to get things going no matter what.
Yeah, that is for sure. Getting into the scrimmage itself, I thought, we've seen some consistency with those lines with Trevor Zegras centering, Alex Bump and Travis Konechny. I thought their chemistry was really good. Their communication was excellent. They were talking the whole time, making adjustments. Occasionally a coach would come in and talk with them as well. I think, again, early camp, it's a scrimmage. Everybody's trying to keep things simple but effective, right? But, every so often, Travis Konechny and Trevor Zegras would try and put something a little flashy in there. Now, it's, again, lots of fans there, so you want to do that. But also, they're trying stuff. Like, there was a drop pass that Konechny did to Zegras, I believe, that just didn't work ultimately. But it was a really good try, and I was glad they did it,
How many goals did they score, Rachel?
Well, that's the thing. It's like there wasn't a lot of scoring in this.
So why?
Game.
I wasn't there, so I'm asking you, like, why?
Yeah. So I think a couple of things. I think there was a lack of finish overall in it, and I can get into a couple of other guys in the other lines, and we can talk about that as well, because I definitely have observations on that front. It's more from the other lines because Zegras did score in the game,
right?
But I think that also the emphasis in this camp and from Rick Tocchet has been the defensive structure, and it was working.
Right.
So, I think there's something to that. And I think the way that the defensive pairings are set up in this camp are really effective to teach the system because, and I can get into that now a little bit, but you had like York with Grons, you had Sealer with Gill, McDonald with Julesen, Zamula with Andrae, like the way that it was like younger guy,
Right.
younger guy.
And that
And
makes sense.
so they're teaching everybody all at once, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's learning in this, and everybody's in the same boat. And I feel like that emphasis was there, and it was working very, very well. And I think some of the centers were playing very good defense. Obviously, Jet Luchenko was doing his thing.
Right. Yeah, he's good defensively.
He's so good defensively, right? Noah Cates doing his thing right there. Sean Couturier, like all these guys are very good defensively. And so that was my take on why it was low scoring, was that the emphasis on the defensive side of the puck was showing itself.
What about the push from the blue line, though, to try and create offense?
I would say that was less so there, and that's for sure. And I think that, that coupled with, I think Drysdale was doing that very well, for sure. I think that Cam York actually looked really solid. I don't think he was not a standout offensively. For sure, but I think his defensive work was really good. His breakout was really good. He got the puck in the zone a lot. He did not make more than one significant mistake that I saw. So very pleased there. And I thought Spencer Gill looked pretty good. I thought him and Sealer actually were a good combo. They complemented each other really well. But I think, from the other offensive guys' perspective, I want to get into some more of those lines because so we had Sean Couturier with Grabenkin and Michkov, and then Jet Luchenko centered Owen Tippett and Alexei Gendron. And there was a lot of talk at camp about Grabenkin and about Gendron in particular, like Gendron standing out. And I absolutely agree in terms of his quickness. He was, he's a smaller guy, right? So he's going to do things to try and stand out. He's going to get to the puck quicker and get out of there pretty quickly. We talk about that with Denver Barkey, who did not stand out, and he was on more of a low level line, right? So we have,
and he's older, to be fair to Barkey, like Gendron's older.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think Gendron was able to put all of that together in a way that maybe Barkey can't do yet, and that's okay. But I think that there was that. But I would say with like Grabenkin and now Gendron to a slightly lesser extent, there was a lot of, with these kind of borderline guys, of flashy work through the neutral zone to get the puck into the zone, and then they would lose the puck because the defensive work was pretty good, and B, like they just don't have the complete run of show of it.
Grabenkin, I do feel like there's incompleteness when you see him. There's some shifts that are really good, and then other ones he's trying stuff and it's not working. Exactly.
And so, and again, we have said multiple times we want to see him in multiple game situations before we say for sure, and I still feel that way. And again, I saw a lot of really good things from him in that scrimmage, like a lot of really good work. Rick Tocchet, complimented his work as well. He's very creative, he's very dynamic, but he just has to clean it up quite a bit. But we have time. That's, again, it's early in camp, and so I think there is enough time for him to prove that he belongs there. I think that obviously Michkov was just like I mean, he's Michkov, right? So I think he stood out a lot and did a lot of really good things, and you could just see his creativity. And I love when he knows how to like make the choice of rifling a pass cross ice to get through, or that soft touch pass that's like maybe a deception to somebody closer, right? Like I love when he does stuff like that.
And that's instinctual for him.
So like when he did all those little things, it was just really, really fun to watch.
No, that's good. That's definitely instinctual. The only thing I worry about Michkov is we'll see like in games what his conditioning is, and if he gets gassed in the third period, like, because he's put on muscle, and so now you have, again, I have to see what his conditioning looks like.
It was just a really good showcase for all of them, and a really good, I think, opportunity for the coaching staff to be like, oh, okay, this is a little bit more of a game situation. This is, what these different guys need to work on. All teams
are doing this now because there's very little camp and there's 7 games. So the Flyers were not the only ones doing this. I watched the Penguins doing it. Like, they were all doing this.
Right. And so I think that it was a really good scrimmage, I think, overall. I was very pleased with what I saw in general, and I was very pleased with how Rick Tocchet talked about it
Hmm.
afterwards
Hmm.
in terms of what he learns and what guys need to work on. And I think he does a really good job of like saying kind of what we do in some ways, of like when people get overexcited about somebody, he's like,
Right.
okay, like let's slow your roll.
Right.
Here's what we're working with here.
He's managing
He,
expectations. That's good.
managing expectations really well, and I think he's talking X's and O's really well. He was asked a lot about specific defensive structure choices, and he
Yeah.
was answering them thoroughly.
Yeah, I think the difference in the coaches, and we'll probably at some point stop talking about John, I think when the season starts. But the difference
Yeah.
that I always have seen between Tocchet and John is Tocchet will do that and manage expectations more in a positive way, where John tends to lean on the negative with the managing of the expectations by pointing out flaws.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, it is Monday, so we will have our nemesis of the week. Plus, I'll get into a little bit about the fan experience at the scrimmage, as well as some little things around the NHL. We'll get to that coming up next.
The NFL season's finally here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet, player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping your eye on your fantasy lineup. Again, I'm going to say stick with the Baltimore Ravens for now with the odds to win the Super Bowl. So are we ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right. So, a couple of NHL stories, I think, that are worth mentioning here. Anze Kopitar announced his retirement at the conclusion of this upcoming season. And
Yeah,
I appreciate it when guys do that in a lot of ways, because
me too.
they get the farewell tour treatment. And he's definitely a guy that deserves it.
I don't think he's doing it for that. I think it's because he's so beloved in LA that he wants to give the fans like a last chance to see him. That's the kind of
Well,
guy he
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's for everybody. It's for the
Yeah.
Kings fans to be able to appreciate him. It's for the
Yes.
rest of us to be able to say goodbye
Yeah.
to like somebody that has had a huge impact on the game, and especially when the Kings were at their best in the Cup run, he was a huge part of that. So
Massive. Yeah.
um,
And I covered him when he was in the Young Stars game at the All-Star
oh my
game. Like,
god,
yeah, I used him probably my first ever draft rankings. I had Kopitar in there as I'm pretty sure a top 10 pick. So,
yeah.
but I can't remember back that far. I have it somewhere.
Right. Still no deal as of recording for Kaprizov or Luke Hughes, although the Luke Hughes one seems like it's more imminent,
I
but
think that's more imminent. I agree.
yeah. Yeah, so those deals are going to be important for all of us to watch as the salary cap changes across the league, and what it looks like for the future kind of contracts that Matvei Michkov is going to get, potentially Porter Martone, like the changing structures with the
Yeah.
new CBA extension. So that's why we care about what those deals are going to
Sure.
look like over here in Flyers land. So hopefully, well, for those teams' sake, I guess, they get those deals done soon. And Russ, just give us like a little bit of a summary of what you have seen in Pittsburgh at the big prospect tournament.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like I'll mention Austin Moline. I think he looked really good considering he went up the turnpike and played the next day and started
Yeah.
a fairly early game. It was not a nighttime game. He looked good, and so he's picked up where he's left off from rookie camp, and I felt like his defensive play is good. His speed's just a little better. It still needs to get better. His passing's good. So he was good. The overall, what I'm going to say, I'll break it down like another time. But overall, I think the USHL has not really lost much talent. A smidge, not much.
Okay.
And actually, there are a lot of other guys, more from other countries than I've ever seen. and they also they have like I think I saw 4 or 5 really good 2027 draft picks already playing, which they've had before, but they've managed to keep them now. So, and I think they're going to still be able to lean into that. I spoke to an assistant general manager who felt like, yeah, this league's fine and they're going to be okay. And I feel that way too. But, listen, I listened to everybody else and was wondering how much of a drop off there was going to be. And there's not much of a drop off. It's still a great league. So I think, again, having all these teams, all these players here, it's a big deal. Scouts are here, like tons. I mean, it's definitely over 100. So these games are well attended, well scouted. So many college coaches are here. I saw people from like Guy Godowski to a lot of other coaches. It's just so many. You see them, and it's just like it's a wave of college coaches because they have to go out and do their own scouting. So that's good, and so that's going to continue. And there's a lot of guys with college commitments already.
Well, that's good to hear, and we'll get into some of those prospects that could be guys we're talking about next spring as we're approaching the next draft on tomorrow's show. It is Monday, of course, and we're having our nemesis of the week as usual. Last week, I talked about the injury black hole that we have sometimes gotten into with the Philadelphia Flyers of like not knowing status. And I feel like to a large degree, my fears are unfounded thus far. I feel like obviously we don't know with Rasmus Ristolainen, but I think that's a fair unknown. I feel like Tyson Forster is coming back on the exact timeline that was communicated to us. We do have Oliver Bonk, still not sure. Carson Dewart, like I said earlier, still, he's now day to day. So I'm concerned about the fact that there are injuries, but not the information about them. That's the difference. So I'm feeling a little better about that. Russ, you talked about donuts and the difference between Dunkin' and Timmy's, and we had our hot takes about donuts, which of course, I want donuts all the time now, which, great.
Blame me.
But so my nemesis this week is that with the preseason schedule having kicked off, between Sunday and Saturday this week, there are 4 preseason games for the Philadelphia Flyers, and that is too many. It's not enough practice cohesively with the whole team together, and you have your game group and your not game group. And I think that, it'll be interesting to see how the camp cuts progress over the course of this week, given how many games there are. But I would prefer more practice, maybe one fewer game this week in the preseason.
I get that. My nemesis is going to be, I'm again doing a food take, and I'm going to put up a place called Capriotti's against Primanti Brothers. I've had both, and I continue to have Capriotti's over Primanti Brothers because Primanti Brothers is overrated. If you want a 5-pound sandwich, hey, go at it. It's great.
And this is a Pittsburgh sandwich
It's a
debate.
Pittsburgh, yeah. But Capriotti's is now becoming mainstream where they're in other places. I first tried it in Chicago, then I had it in Vegas, and I had it in Vegas again at the draft. Well, I had it here now, too, in Pittsburgh. They're in Pittsburgh. So I have to say, it's everything that Wawa tries to copy with the Gobbler, but way better. It might be the best sandwich out there because it is that turkey. There's turkey, cranberry, terrific stuffing, toasted bread. The bread's really good. And there wasn't even any gravy. And she told me gravy's coming. So it's like that's where they'll jazz it up a bit. And everything is just perfect, spot on. The turkey's shredded. It's just great. Like, no offense, Wawa, you're trying, but you just can't touch this.
Well, I do love me a good Thanksgiving sandwich. So I will be happy to try it and report back the next time I am around one.
There's one in Cherry Hill, I believe. I think I saw one recently. I have to double check. Maybe it was a mirage. I don't know, but I think there might be.
All right, I will have to check it out. That will do it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. We, of course, will be back tomorrow, and we will always have our mailbag segments. So let us know your questions or Flyers thoughts to any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment over on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen. Today, for your next listen, check out Locked On NHL. It brings you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with local coverage you love from Locked On. I am on the Friday show. You can find it on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.